What's up, everybody, and welcome to What's Up with the podcast. I am Will Watson, aka Watson the Box, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts and very good friends, Alan and AJ. Welcome, guys. How's it going?
Yeah,
Going.
living the dream.
It's going. You're
It's going.
you're living the dream. That's
Yes.
good. I'm living a nightmare. I don't know about you, Alan, but
Hey, nightmare's still a dream.
I'll just take the in between.
it's just scary. Want it to go away.
So, Alan, I heard you actually paid and used Uber Eats.
Yeah. Yeah, I had an Uber Eats experience. I usually don't use those because I find it, I don't know. I guess it's handy to have those tools to call and have things delivered, especially if you're running a business and being really busy. But for me, I just would rather just go pick it up. I find it to be pretty lazy to go have it fetched for you, have it made for you, and all that. I don't really like to do that unless I really don't have the time. But I saw an ad
Yeah.
for Uber Eats, it had a discount code on it. I said, "No, fuck it, why not?"
Yeah, I unfortunately where I live don't have the luxury of being able to get Uber Eats and Postmates and all that stuff because they don't deliver out to me, so I have to go get my own food if I order.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not fun.
It's funny. I live like inner city, and I kind of see it's like, oh, I have the option, and it's like everything is like 5 minutes from me. So
Yeah,
why
no,
don't I could?
I'm like
It'll take me like
25 minutes.
$2 in gas to go get it. So why don't I just go get it?
Well, man, my experience, it's probably just not worth it anyway. So,
Yeah, it just costs so much more.
I understand the convenience of it, and I think it's you can use whatever you want. I don't care, but I don't see it's not worth the cost in my opinion.
well, I mean, you now have driver's fee on top of tip, on top of how much you
Yeah,
get versus how much you
and like I
pay.
get I get you got to tip the guy. I'm cool. I'm always cool with tipping because they're not fucking paid enough. But yeah, you get like the delivery fee, and then you get like isn't there like an Uber fee? Like there's part of that. There's a fee that goes directly to Uber Eats for setting it up.
Possibly. I don't know exactly how that works. I've only used it once. Every other time, I always do pickup. Most stuff is generally by me. I'm in a capital city, so it's much easier for me to go to A or B to go pick up my food anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, I delivered for Postmates at one point, which is pretty much like the same thing. And so there was like the cost the person had to pay for the food. There was the actual fee for like Uber, or in my case it was Postmates, and then there was the tip that I got. That was like the actual digital tip, but they also were able to do like an actual cash tip as well. So it just costs much more than you'd actually pay just to go there and get it. It's just the convenience. That's really what you're paying for is the convenience fee.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that again when it depends on, if you're busy and you're running a business and you can't be bothered with making a whole meal. And they have other things for that. My sister works in meal prep, healthy foods and stuff like that. They make a meal, they send it to you. You live and eat healthy, you have a meal plan for you. Or some days you just want to have something quick and it's good for your whole entire family, so you order takeout. And that's cool. The convenience is nice, but the amount you pay for the amount you get is never worth it. And my
I
experience,
agree.
that and the quality just was exceptionally subpar. So,
Oh damn! Like I get that. Yeah, there's a convenience factor, and you're right. Sometimes you get busy. I know a buddy of mine. He eats out like every other night. But this dude, he makes his own. He's like rolling in the dough, and I asked him one day. This was like a couple years ago when I kind of first started to get to know him. I'm like, dude, how can you afford to like eat out every night? What the hell? Like, how are you really making that much money with it? And he's like, yeah, but it's not worth my time to make a meal some days. Some days it's worth it to just get takeout and then go right back to what I was doing because my time is worth more. Working whatever he's doing, like stocks or buying and selling shit online, whatever he does when he's not making jewelry.
we'll see. So, my problem came more from not the amount, which I agree is an egregious problem when it comes to it, especially since we're living in such a consumer-based, economy. It's everything's so expensive. But aside from that whole economical thing, it was my experience. It was just bad. It was bad. The food wasn't bad, I guess. It was a little cold, but it was a snowy day. But one of the orders I placed, because unfortunately you can't pick up from the two different buildings, two different businesses. One of the orders I placed, it was one of those microwavable circular black containers,
Yep.
and had the tinfoil topping on it. It looked like it had been partially eaten. Uh, it was 3/4 full. There was a giant space of a quarter of complete nothingness, and it was so shallow that it's almost as if there was just nothing there, or someone had eaten it prior. And I've eaten at the facility before. It was not to at them or anything like that. I've usually had plenty of good food there. Not the most crazy, but for a sit-in restaurant, it's not bad. The amount of food I got was substantially less than I usually get. So I don't know if that was on them or on the Uber person, but it was a bad experience. And not only did I have bad food that I paid a lot of money for between the tip and everything else, I even tipped the driver extra because it was a snowstorm. I tried putting a complaint to Uber saying, "Hey, this food is, it's cold. It looks half eaten. I paid $35 for less than a pound, like half a pound of food." And
Holy
they're like, "Oh,
shit.
well, we can't refund you for this. This doesn't qualify as a refund." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, that was going to be my next question was like, what was the process afterwards? Like, obviously you reached out and said something. They didn't refund you for that?
No, I connected to, talk to a person about it, and it wouldn't connect. I sat there for 5 or 7 minutes, nothing, just complete nothingness. No one
What?
talks to me, no message. And so I said, "Forget this. I got to do other stuff tonight." That's why I ordered, because I have something I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I tried applying directly to see if I could get a refund. And it said this is not eligible for a refund. So I
What?
said, "Forget this. I'm never going to use the service again." That being said, the first one was great. I had a young kid drop off an order for a place called Playables. Really cool. It's like
Oh, yeah,
fruit
you showed me a
and
picture of that, yeah.
yeah, it's like blended fruit with like a base that's like a kai or a banana, and then it's topped with fruit
I'm going
or
to pause you.
nuts
It
and
is
stuff.
acai.
Still, it's
I
delicious.
was gonna ask about that because it's like I don't know how I've never actually said that word out loud. I've
Yeah,
only
it's
said it in
it's
my head.
acai.
Acai. All right.
It's really good with champagne. Anyway,
But
I
but does it pair well with tomatoes?
probably not because it's fruit, but
I
And
it
how
was
about
delicious.
he
how
had a
about
lot of
potatoes?
bananas on top of it, so
Can you get some cool whip for that?
You could, but it was really good. It was
'Cause that's
essentially the weird thing is
yeah.
it's
There's a Playables near my house, and it's like
it's
there's another restaurant. There's a Rhapsody right next to it. I always go there, but I always walk by the Playables. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good
they're
actually.
good. They're very good, and they're healthy for you. You can get them with protein stuff, or you can they're like a standalone meal, or they're you can have a little bit and have it like a dessert. But that was good. That was a good order, and I gave the guy a fair tip. Um, so that one was worth it, but that was free. I got that for free from my first order. That's why I got the deal, because it was like, oh, your first order is completely free. Cool. But the second order was substantially worse, and between the distance of it, I don't want to risk that. $35 in one order, and I got maybe $5, $7 worth of food, and it wasn't even that great. It was cold. It was
And it's
yeah.
probably not. I'm gonna assume it's not on the restaurant because there's the restaurant you named. I'm not gonna name it again because Will might have to cut this out because we're not sponsored. The restaurant you named, there's one of those. There's like I think two or three in the state,
It was
and
Mexican, so
yeah, and well, one of them is right next. It's like down the street from me. I've been there. It's been great. I've gone out drinking and stopped there. I've been there probably 6 or 7 times, and I've never had an issue with them.
yeah, I've been there before too, right down in the main street there.
yeah, lesson of the story is don't order from Uber Eats, and if you do order from one of those things, make sure it's good service, because not only are the drivers sometimes crap, but sometimes the service itself just sucks.
Or you can also
And
expect that it's not going to come out 100% like if you went to the restaurant. Like it's just expect the worst, just in
yeah,
case
well,
That's definitely
something
one.
bad happens.
but that comes with
I
that
want to.
price we're talking about. You're spending an obscene amount of price. You're tipping people. You're making sure that you want to give them good quality for the fact that they're going to give you a good quality service, and then you get subpar quality, and that's just it leads to a very annoying and frustrating night, especially when you've never used that service before. Makes you not want to use it again. Yeah. Looking at you, Uber.
Oh, jeez, you're
Get
gonna get us
called up.
canceled.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't care. At me. I don't have an at. What's up? What about you guys? Anything other small talk for you guys?
Any what? Sorry.
Small talk.
Oh. I thought I had small talk, but much like my sanity, it went out the window.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess because we haven't talked about it yet, we can bring it up. The whole Pokemon and Pal World fiasco.
The
You guys
continuation,
have
yeah.
you guys have an opinion on that whole
Oh,
situation?
is
What?
there another part to that? Did something else happen?
Yeah, yeah. Will, if you want to take the lead on that, because it's your small talk, yeah.
I mean, we have to take. We can just split it up. But either way, it's just the whole idea that they believe that they have any right to say this people can cancel their game, basically get rid of the game. They're gonna pull like this lawsuit. They're not gonna get away with that. They can't do anything about that. Like there was a lot of time that this game was out there, that it was being produced. People knew about it was coming up. The only reason that Pokemon had any kind of like a hey, you can't do that is because they're like one of the top downloaded games in the world. But it's like you were sleeping on the concept. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the real crux here, right? Like, Pokemon is untapped potential. There's no competition, and
Right.
competition is healthy. I was reading posts online about people talking about this, and a lot of people are saying even if Pal World doesn't pan out the way we think it's going to, as much as it has, it's healthy competition for Pokemon. And we all know, anyone that's a fan, it needs competition because a lot of games, even the ones that set new precedences, have and subpar. They don't hit the expectation that players want because Nintendo or Game Freak or whoever isn't listening. And now Power World is doing that. They make a game that has almost nothing compared to, but then doubles down on what it comes out to be. And it makes its own. The names of the pals are great. The systems, how they interact with you, what you can have them do in general. There's a lot of improvement there, but the quality is just it's insane. And that this is untapped material that Pokemon Company hasn't even touched.
And
So
it's
they're
still a
afraid.
beta.
Yeah, they're afraid. And they should be because this is what people want. And they're going after them for the sake of shutting them down so they don't have to make competition. They don't want it.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're just jealous of it. That's it.
they're jealous of it. They realize that there's a hole in the market. There's probably people saying in that company saying like, "Oh, you guys need to do this. Is a good idea." And either Nintendo's like, "Okay, we'll get working on one," and then it's just been such a slow process, or they're just like, "Nah, that's not what the people want," and they're just ignoring it. And then yeah,
You
power
see that
wash.
meme? The meme is of from Tony. That's from Iron Man. Tony Stark when he was made his first Iron Man suit, and it was the scientist was being screamed at by one of the uh, one of the evil villain guys, and he's saying, "How can you not make this? He made this in a cave with scraps." And the reference was Power World because it wasn't even projected to be this good. It's almost number one or is number one on Steam, and I play it like it's a Pokemon game. Essentially, I'm not big on like world crafting. It plays like a goddamn Pokemon game.
I mean, we were
Really
just playing
fun.
last night, and I spent like an hour and a half just flying around, attacking other like pals in the world, just
Yeah,
training. Like I went from I think it was like
Will,
level
you are a true
16 when I
American.
started. I started at
you
like
blew
level
past me.
16, and I blew up to like 22 or something like that. Blew up right past you in like an hour.
Yeah,
Wow,
They're
just
just
riding
having
around
fun
on
with
your
it.
bald eagle.
Legit, all I was doing. I was literally just flying around on Nightwing and just blasting from the sky.
the guy that actually made the mod to implement Pokemon models into the game, which I believe he got sued. Maybe I don't know. He actually made another video where it was titled "Legally Distinct Pocket Monsters,"
I did
and
see that.
he made like realistic looking like electric rat type, and it was
Ah,
very
okay, got it.
is a very tongue-in-cheek response to Nintendo saying, "Well, they're not technically a yellow rat; it's a legally distinct yellow rat pocket monster."
Right.
And I mean that it walks the line. I will say not to dig on Pal World's game, because it's a great game, there are a couple PALs that have a strong resemblance to Pokemon.
Yes, there
But
are a couple.
there's
I'm
only
not gonna name them, but
yeah,
yes, there are quite a few that I see that and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much this one.
but there's only so many concepts you can get. I mean, what is a good popular movie for Disney? Probably not now, but a while ago. Bolt. Bolt was a very popular movie for Disney. Why? The idea that dogs run fast and they generate, you know, energy, which is like electricity, and so the concept of a fast creature that moves that is electric is a common thing. So having that in Pal World and having that in Pokemon is not really that much of a problem, since it's a common idea. It's not like it's something that they
I,
own.
I feel like the only thing is that they made these pals very, very much like the Pokemon from Pokemon. So there's one that if you guys listening right now were to open up like the a picture of like the Pal World like main picture and you look at the yellow one that's there or the blue little penguin that's there, you can look at those and see that they are almost exactly the same as a Pokemon, and there's no really distinct difference about that. Like I could look at a picture of either of them and be like, yeah, no, I can definitely see that it's the same concept. They both have the same abilities. Like there's no difference. It's the same thing.
I think that they're distinct enough that it follows the premise, but I think that I'll give Pal Worlds or the creators a bit credit. They gave a little bit of a separate distinction enough to give itself its own
I think
characteristics
it's just
away.
enough. Yeah.
It is just enough, I think. And Nintendo is fishing at this point. They
I think if Nintendo weren't a bunch of old men with their heads buried in the sands, don't quote me on that. I love Nintendo products. Please don't sue me, to oblivion. They would take this Pal World thing and they would go to the creator of Pal World and be like, "Hey, we like what you did. There is an obvious hole in the market. Can you please take that down and we will pay you and you work with our guys and we'll make this into an actual Pokemon game, fully licensed, ready to go." I think Nintendo would make billions off of that easily.
Well, too bad for them. Xbox is already working with Pal World and the developers to make it into a better game for Xbox. So,
Oh
Yep.
yeah, no, they 100% missed out on that.
oh
Snooze
yeah,
you lose.
Xbox is like, I don't care if it looks like Pokemon. I'm gonna jump right onto this bandwagon.
I think if they made it actual Pokemon licensed, what's the game selling for on Steam right now?
30.
Is anyone $30?
No, I think it's a little less than that. I think it's on sale actually right now.
Is it on sale right
Well, I
now?
mean, like if
Because I
it's
was
like a
looking earlier,
30,
I thought
if
it
it's
said it
like
was 30.
a $30 game with no Pokemon, what's a Pokemon game on the Switch go for? Like 60, $70? People would pay $60 for this, I
Yeah,
think.
I think it was 69.99 for
Nice.
the Scarlet or whatever the Violet, whatever those are.
More than new one
Didn't even
is.
play those ones. They looked cool. They just didn't. I don't know. I feel like they had a lot of opportunity to make that game much like this Pal World game, but I don't think it panned out like that.
I think the closest thing would be Arceus, and even then, that definitely was a step towards a direction for Nintendo, but
Yes,
it wasn't the full picture yet.
right.
And since Scarlet and Violet came out, people, and I agree, say that they took a step backwards yet again.
Yeah. But that's their loss.
Yeah.
Or, what do we know? We're not corporate experts.
Nope.
We're just a bunch of dudes that know what we want to buy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I am working on game development, so in the future we might actually have some games under Neon Gem Media. So we'll see. AJ, do you
I
have anything
too
you'd
have
like to talk
dabbled in
about?
the.
Oh yeah, go ahead, AJ. Alan.
I was saying no. I was adding to that. I too have dabbled into that. I have a bunch of projects that I have worked on. I have about 4 titles with concepts, outlines, story, hooks, plots, characters, and I even started going to 3D rendering to build a stamina system and everything. And it was about a year back. I haven't had the time and place to go into it, but I really do have a good vision for something that I want to also try to put out, because indie games are are great. There's a huge support for them now, and they can look
Hmm.
just as good as AAA games. They just require a lot more time and a lot more love because you don't have a huge studio working on them. But
Right.
then they're a lot more personable when they come out.
So I got a question. Indie games in the last like 4 or 5 years, have they gotten that much better compared to the AAA games, or have
Yeah.
AAA
Oh,
games
yes.
fallen that
No,
far?
drastically. No. If Okay, so let's talk about indie
No, not
games that have
knocking,
come out
not knocking it,
recently.
not knocking indie games from 10 years ago. I think they did phenomenal things with the resources that they had,
Right,
but
with the
now
resources that they had, but nowadays
they're
it's a lot easier.
arguably, yeah, they're arguably surpassing AAA games now,
Exactly.
like left and right. It's not just like, oh, this one's great. This is the best one in 5 years.
So
I mean, say what you
I
will
want to
about
point out four specific games that are indie games. Okay, so one, Pal World blew up. Two, Phasmophobia blew up. Three, Among Us blew up. These are all indie games that just blew up like crazy. They were simple concepts and that were not AAA games. These are people in their like garage or whatever building a game. Like these were not AAA, and they are gigantic games. Lethal Company was the fourth one I was going to say. Lethal Company blew up. It was one of the biggest games of the year. Surprisingly, didn't win, but
well, credit where credit's due. A lot of those are actually some of them were based off of people watching streams, and like Among Us got resurgence back because of stream on Twitch. But to follow to your point, you are right. There are games that are indie games
Well, it
that
can
have
get.
done substantially better versus a AAA title because, like, look at the worst atrocities, Anthem or Starfield.
Oh god, I haven't played a lick of Starfield, but every time I hear about it, it's like this does
oh,
not sound
I
fun.
played it quite a bit.
But it's
It's
like,
a fun game, but it's hollow still.
Yeah, I played it quite a bit. You guys, if you go on my Watson Plus account on YouTube, you can see a whole bunch of. I have like 20, 30 hours of gameplay of just that game.
I don't think it's fair to say it like it. No, maybe you weren't trying to 100% say it like this, but to say, oh, it kind of only blew up because it's streaming. But it's like, no, it can get to like, every game gets its initial blow up. Oh, this game just released. It's an indie game, this or that. But to have the sustained success, like Among Us, for example, that's like culture. That's people still reference that. That's still a funny joke. There's still
Exactly.
memes on that. That's
And that was
huge.
4 years
It's
ago that this
crazy.
game came out. No, 4 plus actually.
That also comes from the streaming aspect. Like the streaming aspect, it got a lot of people. A lot of people got into it. And with like Twitch, you get a lot of emoticons. You get a lot of references to the game. Those are things that people promote while they're doing the game, even if they don't own the game. And then it
Yeah,
becomes meme worthy or popular in pop culture. But the game itself is the thing that that Will was talking about, and the devs also. Like if you look at Pal World with the devs right now, they made a chart to tell you what they're planning on, and they're being very transparent, which is a lot of devs don't do that anymore. And that's really awesome that they are working with the players. They're showing what they're going to do. They want to stick to a guideline. And even Among Us, while it was like super popular, did that exact same thing. There was a bunch of updates to a game that before it got popular again was out for years prior. And then when it got popular, the devs came back to it and said, "We got you. We're going to make this better for you." And that right there, that shows the difference between an indie dev versus, a AAA where they just walk away from it because it's not making them money.
Right. Yeah, I think with Among Us too, it it tended. I think it just had a really big resurgence because people weren't allowed to go out because around that time was when the pandemic happened. So
Right.
people wanted to play like a lot more games online, and that game was very fun, very interesting. You got your nerves going. You had to like trick your friends
It
or
did.
whatever. But it also blew up online because a bunch of creators came together and it expanded people's horizons. So it was like if you only watched, let's say, Jacksepticeye, you only watched him on YouTube, you didn't watch anybody else. But then you watch him play with like Pokemon, and you watch to play with like all the other people that are that whole group. Like Grizzy joined up into that. The Goons joined into that. So you had like McNasty and them. They all would play, and it'd be 10 people in one game playing, and you didn't know any of these people prior. But then you get to know their comedy. So then it expanded out that way, and it Among Us just blew up because it kind of brought everybody together, like viewers and gamers and all that alike.
Well, right, and that's what I was saying. With the game itself had enough substantial content for even a base concept to allow that to happen, and then they continued after its revival, which makes it stand better from the common, AAA titles that they don't and they bail on them without them making the money worth, or they nickel and dime you to get that worth, like Destiny.
Right.
In order to get your worth on Destiny, you must devote yourself to it. It's a job, and you need to buy all the content, otherwise
Yeah,
you're
I
a
just
crap
I
ton of
hate.
FOMO.
I give my buddy a lot of crap for playing Destiny because he grinds and grinds and grinds and grinds and grinds, and I'm like, dude, you're just freaking miserable for like 20 hours playing this game. It's like I understand, like, if you like, I used to play old school RuneScape a lot, so I understand grinding for a goal, but I was never that miserable even when I was going for 99 fishing.
Well, the problem with Destiny, to not go on off-topic rant, is it was fun while you were playing it, but the reward for doing it wasn't there. You would have to grind it out over, so many X times to get the rewards you wanted, and by that time you felt drained, annoyed, whatever have you. And then maybe by the time you're about to get it, the new mission or the new item that you're going to get is not there anymore now. Now the event's over, or you don't have a party to do it consistently, so you miss out on it. Then you get the FOMO, and then you have to wait 6 to 8 months for it to be in the shop, and then you have to spend real money on it, and the premium is expensive as hell to get it. So it's one of those things where they bank on the FOMO and they milk your time, and that's just not good for anyone.
And I think it's kind of silly that FOMO is like an actual, oh, FOMO's a real thing. It's like I don't think that's a thing. That's just a normal human emotion to feel. But people are like, oh, I have it worse than others. I don't buy that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think it's like, I think we all get it. It's a normal thing. I don't think other people have it worse than others. I think that just their willpower or like determination, I don't know if that's the right words, but basically, are they able to kind of just get over it, or does it like
I
just
mean, that could be it. Cause like I've also I don't know. Like
Well, that's it's. I think it's a little different.
I'm used to like, oh, I missed the Bane wagon on that one. I'm not. Sometimes I'm either hyper focused on something or I live under a freaking rock. There's like no in between with me.
Well, think of it this way: if a game is deprived of content to the point where its content is the basis of either crafting or cosmetical or not even just cosmetics, but the flashiness of an item, such as like an action game, when you use a certain sword a certain way, the animation of quality of that is substantial, or it hooks on a niche, or something for the past, like a nostalgia or an item of liking, like you like Final Fantasy series, so when they have crossovers they have these for a limited time. It's those things that implement the FOMO, because when you go and you want to get those items because it's something that speaks to you or adds additional content to you to keep you going because the game itself isn't substantial enough, that's where that FOMO comes into play. So a good example of that would be what I was just talking about. My friend just got all the stuff for Final Fantasy VII and Apex Legends, and it's expensive. It was about $200 to get
Jeez.
everything, which is insane. It was good stuff. It was cool. They had a Buster Sword. Some of the skins for some of the characters were cool, but it was a one-time thing. And if you didn't get them then, you never would have them again. And they're good quality things. The animations are good. The visuals are good. But it's content for him to keep playing in a game that's repetitive. So it doesn't have a lot of content aside from the game itself. And so that content that he pays for FOMO sake, makes him keep playing to add value to his game. And so that's where the FOMO comes into play, because it's a marketing strategy. It's a marketing
They're
ploy.
capitalizing on it.
It's how it makes you feel and affects you to do things, much like how the loot boxes did with gambling. You would want the item in the loot box, so you want to get that drop. So you got it, you didn't get it, and then you're like, all right, I get another box. You didn't get it, and you keep going, like maybe this time, maybe this time, and it's that same FOMO where you want that item, but it's just out of reach.
Yeah, no, I get that. There was a game that I used to play when I was a lot younger, but I was working at this time. This was probably 16, 17 years old. It was a mobile game, and I don't play mobile games anymore because they're
Yeah.
the worst thing in the world for me. But there was one where it's like you were like a little magician, and it was a card game, but you could merge your cards together using magic and get more advanced cards. So I would do that, but depending on how rare the card that you were trying to create was, it decided how long it would take to do. So,
Mm.
it'd be if you mix two like basic cards together, it would be like, all right, 5 minutes, and then you get this. All right, cool. That's not a big deal. I can wait 5 minutes or whatever, or I can use the gems or whatever it was just to speed it up. But then you get to a point where it's like, okay, this is going to be 12 hours to get this card or 24 hours to get this card.
Jeez.
And it was like, I don't want to
Yeah.
wait to get this card for this point because I want to get these faster. I want to start leveling up faster or whatever. So there was a point where because I was 16, 17 years old, was working basically full-time hours while going to school, so I was making quite a bit of money. I would just spend hundreds of dollars on this one game. And not even
I
just
did
like
that.
20, 20, 20, 20. No, it was like 100, 100, 100, 100. And it got to the point where I was like just maxed out I had all the cards. I beat all the levels. Then I was like, all right, now what? And I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I literally have nowhere else to go. I'd have to start the game over again, but I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars again. So I just deleted it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was a waste of my money. That was a waste of my time.
Mine was like that, but it was a little less and more long prolonged. I would be like, I don't want to go with the most. I don't want to get all that stuff now. I want to fish for it. I want that, that wanting edge.
Oh, I'm 100%
And
like that now. Yeah.
yeah, well, even still, it was still bad because then I would spend, I would still spend 20, but it was, I spent 20, so I can spend another 20, so I can spend another 20. I didn't spend 100, I spent 80. And then every time it was 80, 80, 80, 80.
Hmm.
And I got to a point where I was just like, all right, I kind of am tired of this game. I go away from it, come back, and then the game would change so much that, I just kind of dropped it. But I did end up spending almost $300 on a mobile game with gotcha mechanics that was fun at the time, but wasn't really worth it.
Yeah.
That's
No,
yeah,
you know what pissed me off even more too about some games you'd play is you'd spend money in the game, you'd delete the game, you come back to it like a year or two later or whatever, and your information was deleted. It didn't save to like your Apple ID or anything like
Uh,
that. So it doesn't
yeah.
matter what you spent. There's no like you can't just like click a button and be like, "Hey, I paid for all this already." You had to start fresh again. So it's like, "Oh well, fuck that. I'm not spending money again."
I'm so happy I never. No offense to you guys. I'm so happy I never got sucked into that spending money on mobile games thing.
I'm glad you didn't either.
I bought Minecraft on like my iPhone 4S when I was in high school, and it was like 15.99 or something. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm finally gonna buy something. I had just started working at Hannaford's, the grocery store near me. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna buy a game for my phone. It's gonna be so cool. I can play Minecraft on my phone while I'm on break. And I did it, and I was like bored of it within like a week. And I'm like, oh, this is a terrible way to spend $15. I made a horrible mistake because $15 I had to work 2 hours to make that when I was at Hannaford's.
Yeah.
That's it's just I don't know. I never got sucked into spending money on mobile games. Even I'm trying to think. Was it no? I think it was Smite. I spent
Oh yeah.
$20 on Smite once to get a couple of RuneScape skins. But other than that, yeah, I never really. Maybe it's because I'm just fucking poor. I never really got big into the whole spending money on digital content
Yeah, you were
because
smart.
exactly what you said. If something happens, like oh, then you lose your info. It's like well, there's no we deleted your info, so you got to buy it again. Stupid, haha. Give us more money. So I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know. Spending tangible, hard-earned money on on intangible things has just always been weird to me.
Yeah, no, I get that. All right, well, that was my small talk that turned into like 20, 30 minutes. So, I don't know if AJ
Nothing wrong with that.
you had a topic that you like us to dive into today at all?
I was thinking we could just talk about some movies.
Okay, cool. We go from games to movies. Sounds good.
There's been yeah, we'll just keep it on the media, topic of media today.
Sounds
Um,
good.
no, I rediscovered the glorious movie that is Kindergarten Cop.
You know what's really funny? I'm literally looking at my phone right now. It's on my list. I have it downloaded to my Netflix on my phone to watch.
Yeah, so we watched me and my best friend watched that, and like I think we were freshmen in high school when we first watched it. As this movie came out in, like the early '90s. It's like peak, like full muscular, top of his game, prime Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
and we watched it. We died laughing. We still quote this movie to this day. And well,
Renowned action hero and crazy character for most roles. His peak moment is a babysitter.
yeah, the premise and any synopsises of, is that how you say that, of this movie just sound ridiculous. It's like, no, this is dumb. This is gonna be some dumb rom-com
Do
movie.
you have a synopsis for like an example?
A stern police officer working to bring down a drug dealer faces his toughest assignment yet when he goes undercover as a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah,
That's
Yes.
very
literally.
90s.
Literally
Yeah.
1990.
Yep. And it's just what made me think of this movie. I just watched this like a couple days ago, or rewatched it a couple days ago. There was some cookies down at the break room at work. Like the upstairs office had like a party, so they bring all the leftovers to us peons down below, right?
Mhm.
And someone was picking up like the last cookie. So I poked my head into the room, put that cookie down,
Put the
and then
cookie
out.
down.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking like, man, I haven't seen that movie in a while. And then I looked it up on my phone. I was like, oh my god, it's on Netflix. Why didn't anybody tell me this was on Netflix?
It just came up. It was just
Did it
released
just
to
come out?
Netflix. It literally was just put on Netflix. That's why I downloaded it. Yeah, it was just put up
Was
like
it?
like a
Oh
week or
no
two
way.
ago.
This was like last week. I was, like I said, I quoted it and I was thinking about it. It's like, I don't think I own that movie. Where can I watch it right now, or do I need to buy it? Because like I'm still gonna buy it. It's still gonna be put on my list. But oh, that's funny.
There's some movies that definitely stick for me, and I've watched that. I know I've watched it. That movie I can't really reference a lot of it, but there are some movies back then in the '90s growing up that I definitely watched that I could stick with, like Matilda.
Oh my god, yeah.
Love Matilda. That's
I
a
don't
great
I
movie.
don't know if I've seen that. Like I know about it and I know the story behind it,
Really?
but I can't tell you anything about it other than that Danny DeVito's in it, I think.
Oh yeah.
And I want to say Robin Williams.
No.
Nope. Robin Williams is great though. I've been watching a lot of SVU recently, and one of my favorite episodes was the one with Robin
Like
Williams in
Law
it.
and Order SVU. Robin Williams was
Yeah,
in an episode of Law and Order.
I
What?
it
did not know
was.
that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and it was great. He played a villain.
Really?
He played a villain.
Yeah, he was a bad guy,
Robin Williams.
and he
Like
Robin
Doubtfire.
Williams. Doubtfire. Look it up. I forgot what episode it was, but Robin Williams was on SVU, and he was one of the bad guys. He actually was in the courtroom, and he uh, was told that it would be unwise for him to not lawyer up. He was his own lawyer in the episode, and he went toe to toe with Benson in the courtroom and won his court case. Spoilers.
Of course he
Huh.
did. He's Robin freaking Williams.
I mean, speaking of Robin Williams, we could talk about Jumanji. Like,
Oh yeah,
iconic
that
of
was
a movie
great. That was
that
filmed.
is.
That was filmed close to where I lived at the time.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, Keene, New Hampshire. I
Oh,
lived
it
you
in
know
New
was
what? I
Hampshire.
didn't know
it was
that. Yeah.
mostly filmed in Keene. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So I haven't seen the original one since I was a little kid, but I've seen the new one with like The Rock and Jack Black. And
Kevin Hart
I
and
tell you,
what's her name? Karen
I
something.
don't know, some fairly attractive actress. Um, I,
Do you know what? You know it's the
I
girl
can't
that
think of
plays
her name.
Nebula from Avengers, right?
Oh really? I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah,
her. Oh, I didn't know that. Well,
Karen Gillan, I think is her name, something like that. Yeah, it's the same girl that plays Nebula from the Avengers movies, the
that's pretty
Gamora's
cool.
sister. Yeah.
So I watched that new. Wait. Oh no, I was thinking of the girl, the lighter skinned alien girl with like the little antenna. I thought that was Nebula.
No, Nebula is it's
Yeah,
Thanos'
her
daughter,
her ang- her
the
angry
blue
sister.
robot girl. Yeah, that.
her pissed off, her continuously pissed off sister. Yeah. Well, maybe it's because I went into the new Jumanji with like low expectations. I just watched it on like when it first got to Hulu, I think. But it's like, man, that was a solid movie, and
It wasn't bad.
I love Jack Black. He's great.
I haven't seen that
Half
one.
of the
Oh, I
script is
can't
just
say
him
anything.
shitting on himself.
I was just gonna say something from the movie that I don't want to spoil anything.
No, go ahead. I probably won't watch it though, because I'll watch the original overs anyway. So go ahead.
I mean, you definitely should give it a watch because there's a couple of cool cameos in it too.
Oh yeah, you like the main villain? I was very surprised.
Yeah, the hunter's in it, I believe, right?
Who?
From the first one, is the hunter from the first one in it?
That I don't know.
I haven't seen the first one since I was a small child, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Oh.
know. I just know who like one of the main bad I think it's the main bad guy from the first movie. It was very surprising to see who
Yeah.
it was.
The hunter,
Well, no,
the dude with the
from the
mustache.
first. I mean, of the two new ones that just came out, the first of the second sequence of them.
Oh,
So there's just the Jumanji where they like the first one of this, not the old Robin Williams one. So I guess you can call it the second movie, but it's like not.
I think that's more of a spin-off series.
Yeah,
kind
like
of
the
thing.
spin-off series of it, like that one,
Possibly.
the first of those.
I haven't seen the second new one. I've only seen the first new one.
I actually haven't either.
Alan, are you a fan of Jack Black at all?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm an avid follower of Jack Black in his career, but most times when I watch Jack Black, I enjoy watching him. Yeah.
I
would
Black.
I would give Jumanji a try because I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I don't follow the guy. I don't like. I don't. Oh my god, this movie's got Jack Black. I need to see it. But it's like everything I've seen. Now, mind you, I haven't seen Nacho Libre since that first came out when I was in like third grade.
What is that like?
Oh, yeah.
2008, something like that. Like
I want to see 08 or 07, something like that.
somewhere back then.
I want to, but like a lot of this, almost everything I see, it's like that has Jack Black in it. It's like, oh, this is just fantastic.
Oh, it's 06.
06? Wow, yeah, I was in
Speaking
the
of like
third grade.
90s. Yeah, speaking of the 90s, some of my favorite movies were some of the comedies, especially the ones that had Adam Sandler in it. And again, Hometown Hero, he was in
Oh yeah, Manchester.
born and raised in New Hampshire. Yeah, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
So, my first plow run had like the part of town where his mother still lives. I'm trying not to give away. I don't want to accidentally dox anybody. And she was also on my trash run. I'd pick up her garbage every Monday, and she was a very nice lady. Saw her a couple times. Never got to stop and talk, but she gave us Christmas tips, which is greatly appreciated as a garbage guy.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think he's still like his family's still like local. Like his sister.
Yeah, they still live out
He's
here.
local.
He still visits once in a while.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure he has his own place out here, actually. He's a frequent flyer of New Hampshire still.
Oh yeah,
or
for
even
sure.
New England as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah, he comes out here often.
Speaking of Adam Sandler, although we will get back to the '90s Adam Sandler because I love Happy Gilmore, Mr. Deeds. I saw a recent movie. This just came out like last
Billy
year,
Madison.
like 23. I haven't seen Billy Madison.
Oh, that's
I
my
haven't
favorite.
seen-
You got to see it.
I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never sat down and watched the whole thing. So
Everyone tells me they love Happy Gilmore the most, and I get it's a great movie. But for me, I watched Billy Madison first. I love that movie. I can quote almost all that movie.
I know
It's
enough
so
about Billy
hilarious.
Madison for the today, Junior, and that's it.
Today, Junior. Yeah,
Yep, that's it.
I use that all the
So-
time.
Adam Sandler just did a movie with Bill Burr. Adam
Yes,
Sandler does one of
Leo.
his funny. Yes, he does
Oh,
like
dude.
a funny voice the whole movie.
Fantastic.
He's this old grumpy iguana, and then Bill Burr is this old grumpy turtle. It's like they wrote whoever wrote this movie wrote the turtle with Bill Burr in mind. It's so fitting. It's
Oh
great.
yeah, it is
But
honestly
it's like like it's
one
it's
of
a
the best
kids
movies.
it's a kids movie and it's made for kids. So you get past like the kids songs that are in it, and it's fantastic.
I will say, some of his content that's newer was pretty good or okay. I watched Hebe Halloween.
Dude,
Fun
love
fact: I
Hubie
have a
Halloween.
friend that's actually in the movie of Hebe Halloween. She's in the Halloween scene with the bobbing for apple. She's in the background on the
that's
stage.
cool.
Oh, it's sick.
Yeah, that was
To
cool
give
for
a shout
her.
out for her?
But No, I'm sure she doesn't want to be shout out.
I don't think we're.
um, she wouldn't know. You wouldn't know she's there. She was in makeup anyway. But Hubie Halloween was good. But for the life of me, Jack and Jill was one of the worst pieces of crap I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, that was awful.
Oh, I want to watch.
I love Adam
I've heard-
Sandler, and if he turns into a listener of this podcast and then hears that, sorry, but that movie was
I
It was
real
ass.
bad.
It was ass.
I think he knows it. Like Click was okay. I watched that in theaters.
I love that.
Click was
I want to
pretty good.
watch.
I like
I
that
want to
one.
watch Uncut Gems. I haven't seen that.
I just watched that recently. Actually, it was actually
I
pretty
hear.
good.
Yeah, I hear nothing but good about it.
Yeah, it was
What was the
actually
one?
pretty good.
Is that the one where he was a producer or something?
No, he works.
That
He's
was the Gems
he's
one.
a jeweler. Yeah,
What was the one where he was like a producer?
I don't know.
Forgot that one was. That one was pretty good too. That was of the same vibe that Uncut Gems was, except for Uncut Gems had a little bit more of a personal vibe to it.
All right, so let's go back to '90s Adam Sandler because now that I guess this is the Adam Sandler fan podcast. Um,
We can talk about other ones. I was just saying, like, I mean, we could talk about Ace Ventura.
I'm totally cool with it because I rewatched Happy Gilmore recently, and
Forrest
I was
Gump.
watching it. I'm like, oh man, that's funny.
Oh
I'm
my
watching,
god, Tom Hanks.
in
one of my
in
favorites
particular,
of all time.
oh, he's good too.
I was just talking about not to derail back because if you want to talk about Adam Sandler, it's good. But I was just talking to my friend about The Mummy with Brendan Fraser and his recent resurgence. You know, he's a great actor and he was insane in the '90s, but he unfortunately never got his due rights, and now he's getting recognized.
So I was reading about the Brendan Fraser thing. I guess he was like there were some scandals that happened. Like he was accused of some stuff, and then his body was like physically broke. Like he hurt himself doing his own stunts for the Mummy series. So between all that, he kind of tumbled and his career lost his way. But yeah, there's a resurgence for Brendan Fraser, and I'm so happy because I want to watch. What was that movie he just did? Where is it The Whale?
The Whale. Yeah.
I
He
hear
got an
nothing but.
award for it.
Oh, he did get an award. I hear nothing but like stellar reviews from
I
that.
really want to watch it, but I don't want to buy it or rent it just for me to watch. My wife isn't truly like dead set on watching it yet. So if it goes on like HBO or Netflix or Hulu or whatever, then I'll watch it. But I'm not gonna like buy it or rent it.
Well, I believe it was shortly after The Whale, or it was before. I think it was because it was after because he was prepping for the role. He lost a substantial amount of weight after, but he had an interview, and they did talk to him, and I think they were going to make a series out of it about what happened to him. And I think, don't quote me on this, I think he was talking about some of the individuals in Hollywood that led to his departure, and I believe one of them was The Rock. The Rock was like taking spotlights from him, or someone was picking The Rock over him. I don't know if it was The Rock and him, if they had bad blood, or because of just like casting, and The Rock happened to just be there. But it ended up overshadowing him, and he got put in the backlight, and so it was really hard for him to get roles on top of his health issues and stuff like that. So
Well, didn't
there's
he
just a
play the
lot of things,
Scorpion
a lot
King,
of
too?
mental health. That was The Rock, yes. So that's where
Yeah.
it all started from. It's like they were in movies together, and then afterwards, if you remember, The Rock blew up. He had a lot of
He got his
comedy
own movie,
movies.
actually, he got his
A
own
lot
movie,
of
The
them.
Scorpion King. Actually,
Yes,
a
and so
spin-off.
I think there was bad blood between them, and that led to another reason why Brendan Fraser had some issues within Hollywood and why he took a step down. On top of mental health, physical health, a lot of things. I think there is a whole documentary or series you can go look at that talks about Brendan Fraser and his past and resurgence. So he is got an amazing story, and it's good that he's back. Whether he continues much now or the Whale was a great resurfacing. No pun intended there.
I'll have to look up that documentary.
So I got some movies that I don't know if anyone has actually seen.
Bring it.
So I wonder, has anyone seen Mystery Men?
I've heard about it, haven't seen it.
What about oh man, I gotta figure out the name here. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, but that
Heard about it,
sounds...
have not seen it.
So League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is, so we can go in order, but Mystery Men was the old school concept where you have B-list heroes that have to save the A-list heroes to save the day,
Oh
and
my
you
God,
had
Sean
a whole
Connery.
plethora of characters. Yeah, Sean Connery in not Mystery Men, but in League of Extraordinary
League of
Gentlemen. That one had
Extraordinary,
an amazing cast. But Mystery Men was the B team superhero. You had Fart Man, You had I forgot all the names, but you had a girl that had her father's skull in a bowling ball, so it was a magical bowling ball that she could control. You had Invisible Boy, who was a famous actor for the '90s. I forgot his name. Um, I should have pulled this up. He was Invisible Boy. He can only be invisible when people weren't looking, and he was naked. Uh, then you had the Miner, who was a dude that mined. I think that was his ability. I think that's all it was. And then you had the main character of the story, which is Ben Stiller, who was able to. Oh man, I forgot what he was able to do actually. But it was a bunch of B-list abilities that people just like didn't care about. They were subpar. There were jokes, and they had to go save the main hero. And then disaster struck, and they had to be the ones to defeat the villain. And it's really funny. It's a comedy. It's superhero esque. So this is before like Marvel movies kicked off. So this is like the superhero series. Not this one, but like this one, and including the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which that one was more pop culture based. They played off of Jekyll and Hyde, Dracula, immortality aspects. A dude that's so skilled with a gun he can shoot people from anywhere. That was Sean Connery's character.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
Interesting.
That one's much more gritty. That one's much more uh, detailed, riching story with some really interesting comics. And Mystery Men was more of a comedy. But those were '90 movies that I know that were really good that a lot of people don't know
Oh,
exist.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen came out in 2003.
Yeah, that was still around the end cusp of the '90s. That was like it started getting popular right away.
Well, I'm not trying to call you wrong, but you said Sean Connery. I'm like, oh man, this is an old movie. And I looked it up. It's like, yeah, it came out in '03. God damn.
Well, that's still 21 years ago. Think
Don't
about that.
remind me, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting old, guys. I kind of want to bring it back to somebody that you brought up before too, or I mean, you mentioned a movie, and then it was the actor. You mentioned Forrest Gump with Tom Hanks. Like
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, honestly, if you just talk about some of his older movies, which are just iconic.
You could talk about any of his movies. He hasn't done very many bad ones, in my opinion.
I don't think I've
How
ever
about
seen a Tom Hanks movie that was bad.
A Man Called Otto?
I
Seen that
just,
one?
dude, it
Dude,
is
heartbreaking.
honestly like top
Heartbreaking.
5 movies of all time for me. Dude, that movie killed me. I was like crying tears of joy and sadness at the same damn time.
Dude, the movie was like to me it was like predictable. It's like, oh, all right, it's setting up for this, and then that thing never happened. It's like, oh, they actually got their way. Wow, they were successful with that. That
Yeah,
was awesome.
exactly.
And then like the next thing, like 2 minutes later, the thing happens. Like, oh, come on, really?
Exactly. Like no
You're thinking,
spoilers, but
yeah, I'm trying really hard not to spoil it because it's a
dude, it
fantastic
was I
movie.
I literally was watching it one night and I started at like I think I started at like 10:30 and I was like, "All right, I'll watch some right now. I'll just watch this winding down to go to bed or whatever." And then it got to like 11:30 and I was like, "All right, I got to turn this off. I got to go to bed. I got to be up at like 4:30 in the morning." Great. So I turned it off. I rolled over and I'm laying there for like 20 minutes and I'm like, "Fuck it. Let's go watch the rest of it, I guess." So I stayed up until 12:30 and I'm like sitting in bed. I have my wife next to me. Our 3-year-old crawled in the bed at that point, and I'm sitting there just blubbering like an idiot. I'm surprised I didn't wake them up. Dude, I cannot recommend that
I
movie
want
more. It's
I want
so
to
damn
get
good.
I want to get another set of wired earbuds so I can actually watch because like I'll the same thing. I'll lay down in bed. I'm trying to wind down. It's like, man, if I could just get in like another 20 minutes of The Crown right now, that'd be fucking awesome. But then
Yeah.
it's like, no, I can't find my wired earbuds, and I don't want to spend a buttload of money for wireless ones. I'm good, thanks.
I mean, you even have the classics that, like, I don't even know if they need to be referenced. Forrest Gump, The Green Mile,
Dude, The Green
Castaway,
Mile
I
again,
haven't
top 5.
I
I
haven't seen The
love it.
Green Mile.
Saving
You
Private
need to
Ryan.
see The Green Mile. Oh my
Wow.
god, do you
I
need to
just
see The Green Mile?
It's
If you
great.
it's on my list.
if you like
What
A Man Called
list?
Otto and
My
you like
movie.
the predictable but happy and sad at the same time, just very like wrenching.
Up my memos.
This movie should have been already watched on your list. This is an
Green
I
old
have
Mile
movie.
so
is
I've got a
fantastic.
fairly big phone screen, right? It's an old phone, but it takes me one, two and a half, 2.5 full swipes through the screen to go through my movie watch list.
Yeah, no, I'm similar. But I've actually been watching them all lately because I was like, a lot of them it was I asked my wife, "Hey, do you want to watch this movie with me?" She was like, "Yeah, sure." And then like 2 years will go by of me like saying, "You want to watch this? Want to watch this? Want to watch this?" And it's always a no. So I was like, "All right, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna start watching these movies. If she wants to watch them later on, then we'll just watch them together. And I've already seen them. I don't mind, unless it sucks. I just didn't want to wait
Yeah,
anymore."
my thing is, I keep thinking like, oh, I need to watch like more movies. I need to start watching movies again. And then I get okay when I finish this TV series, I'll get like I just finished Drive to Survive a couple weeks ago. Like, all right, I finished Drive to Survive. Now I'm gonna rewatch The Crown because I haven't seen the new season. And it's always just I never like, oh, I can't just for some reason my brain's like, oh, you can't watch 20 minutes of a movie. You can't do that. You gotta watch 20 minutes of an episode, and it's fine.
Yeah, you got to
I need
watch
to like
half
start.
of an episode. If you're looking for 20 minutes, that's an episode. If you're looking for a movie, you got to watch at least 45.
Well, even that, it's like I could watch. Well, what I'm saying is I could watch 20 minutes of a TV show, but my brain doesn't want me to watch 20 minutes of a movie. Do you get what I mean?
Well,
Like I
yeah,
just
okay,
never.
I get that.
I need to start going the other direction so I can work on this movie list.
Yeah, I can do that though, because I'll have like a bunch of movies downloaded on my Netflix and I'll watch them on breaks and lunches at work, and then I'll watch them going to bed at night. So I've gotten through like 30 movies in the past month. I watch like a whole movie a day, sometimes even two. In the past
Wow.
month, I've
Well,
just
I
been
mean,
watching like a shit ton of movies.
yeah, like I'll have some downtime at work. Sometimes there'll be oh there's like oh you're waiting for this guy or you gotta wait for this. There'll be parts sometimes where I'm like just waiting around. I've like okay I have 10 20 minutes of downtime and it's like oh I'll just watch half an episode
Yeah, I
and
try to
start doing that
avoid
with movies.
at this point. I'm trying to avoid TV shows because those can drag me in for too long. Because if there's like 3 seasons of a TV show that's come out, it's like I don't want to sit there for 30 hours watching this. Whereas like
Yeah,
if there's a movie, even if it's just a trilogy, chances are they're not longer than 3 hours long. There might be two, 2.5. So I'm looking at like 7 hours of time. I can deal with that instead of 30. And there's like I don't know. I feel like it's just easier trying to watch all the movies that I want to watch right now and then start on shows later.
it's kind of just what's easiest to watch, what's easiest to digest. If it's something that's, that's really strong, has a good amount of story that's substantial that I can continue watching, even if it's something I've watched prior, that's great. Like SVU, it's strong, it's rich, it makes you feel. Those are really good to watch over time. But if it's something where you have to really watch it, you really have to focus on it, those things I need to make time for so that way I can digest them quickly. Because if it's something I just
Yeah,
watch on a whim, then I'm not really getting the full experience, I believe. So I need to make sure that it's something I can kind of really focus on. So something I can't do that if I was like working somewhere or something. I need to take the time aside for that.
I get that.
So what would you guys say like if you had to pick a movie that was your number one movie, you never get tired of watching it, you'll never get over it, what would that be?
Oh man, that's a lot of movies to pick from.
I can think of one like the highest rewatchability. I found myself craving to watch it about every 6 months or at least once, minimum once a year. I need to watch this movie, and it is. Oh, do you guys want to guess? Actually,
Oh,
Give
yeah,
us a
now I
have
even
hint,
fun.
have a
yeah.
place to start.
Give us a hint, yeah.
Mm, John Bernthal.
John Bernthal.
He's one of the main. I was gonna name some actors, but if I give away two, it's probably gonna give the
He's a
movie
good.
away
He's a
because it's got such
good.
like an odd
He's a
cast.
great actor. I loved him in the Punisher series.
Fantastic! I'm so happy. So happy. No, I'm like just depressed that that series as we know it from Netflix is probably never
It
gonna
is
see the daylight
actually.
again.
I don't know if you. It's not to pull away from those movies. I don't know if you heard that Daredevil got re-signed on Disney, and they recasted John Bernthal for the Punisher, and they made a deal with him that deal hasn't obviously been leaked, but he is casted for the Punisher now. Whatever deal they struck, he was happy with. And the only thing people are wondering about is the Defenders. Are they going to be coming on? Because they have Kingpin, they have Daredevil, and it is confirmed that Daredevil on Disney is going to be a direct continuation of the Daredevil from the Netflix series. The stuff on the Netflix series
Oh, that's
is going to
fantastic. And
be canonized.
I almost got. Oh, if you guys hear something vibrating, that's my cat. Just so you
Okay.
know, my cat started rubbing up against me. I haven't seen. I almost started watching the Daredevil series, mostly because I'm not huge into superheroes. But someone told me like, oh hey, the John Bernthal Punisher's in Daredevil, so I almost started watching it mostly because of that. Because I also love John Bernthal. He's a
He
fantastic
is a
actor.
very good actor.
I actually still wouldn't guess the movie that you're talking about,
I
though.
wouldn't either. I'm scrolling down IMDb here and I have no clue.
Yeah, I'm thinking of also movies I would have seen
Uh,
instead of just looking and guessing a movie from this list here.
that's true. It's a war movie.
As it this one right here, I'd have to guess. I've never seen this one, so I wouldn't have even known. Just by
It's
yeah, I
Fury.
never saw that.
Oh, dude,
So what is it you
fantastic
said?
movie.
Fury,
So,
Fury. Oh, okay.
Fury. Brad
Guy
Brad Pitt,
Fieri.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, they all go to Flavortown in East Germany. Yeah. No, some young actor, I forget the name of him, but I've seen him in a few movies. And then John Bernthal. They make up the main cast.
Are you talking about Logan Lerman? He was
Yes, Logan
Percy
Lerman, that
Jackson.
him. I haven't seen that. I didn't get into Percy Jackson as a kid.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, not to sidetrack from Fury, which is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I was probably like, it seems like I was the only kid who was into a book series called Levin Thumps.
No, you were not.
I'd never read that.
Were you, were you another one, Will?
Yes, I was.
Oh, thank God. Oh
Yes,
my
I
God, I
was.
finally met someone else. Oh,
Yeah,
wait a
see, you
minute.
were not alone
Hold
on
on.
that.
Did we go to the same elementary school?
I don't think so.
Did you go to?
You can say the name. I can cut it out. Yeah, no, I went to.
Oh, all right. No, I was talking. No, so to come to find out, it was written by like not to distract from Fury. I'll get back to that because I absolutely love and adore that movie. Levin Thumps was his kids' book series, and it was written. It says it was written by a guy named Hubert Sky. I remember we were in elementary school, and he came to our school, and he was talking about that book, and he signed a couple copies, and I still have one of the signed copies on my shelf. Actually, it's his big, beautiful calligraphy Hubert Sky, and I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. I love this book series, but nobody else read it. Everybody else was reading like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson,
I did
and I
read
never.
Percy Jackson though, as well as Levin Thumps. So
Yeah, I never. I tried to read Harry Potter, and I only just watched the movies when me and my wife were. I think we were engaged at the time,
oh
and
my god, dude,
the.
I own them all. We watch them almost every year. I love those movies. Played the game too, like Hogwarts. Yeah, great.
I never. I only watched the movies when we were like engaged, and she's like, "Oh my god, you have to watch these." I'm like, "Yeah, all right, these are pretty good." There's a lot of references I understand now. Thanks.
Pretty
So,
good. What?
so anyways, Fury, probably one of my just the way it's done, the way it's shot. There's so many beautiful scenes in that movie, and it makes you feel so many emotions throughout the course of the movie. I love every bit of it. I think it's like the perfect
I
movie.
had 3 movies that I can think of right now that actually were movies we talked about. Um, and I guess it really depends what my itch is. And I'm sure there's other movies out there.
Oh, that's
It's
fair. Yeah, like what are you
yeah.
in the mood
If you
for?
wanted to expand it to like top 3 or top 5 or something, we can do that as
I
well.
mean, I'm thinking of like the top 2 funny ones I watched that I would watch. Like it would be either Billy Madison or an Ace Ventura movie. I love those. Those were
Ace
great.
Ventura. Oh my god,
I
Jim
watched
Carrey.
one of those two as like that as the top 3 for the comedy. For the other two, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I love that movie. I can't get that through enough. And I know it's not top 3, but I love animated movies. Princess Mononoke I grew up on. That one's definitely number 1. But another
Ooh, that's a good one.
right, it was amazing. I gotta watch that one. That one's fantastic. for me. Um,
Said anime, you're saying?
that was a more of a studio thing rather than just a channel animation, but it is anime in a way, yeah. The
Because
Studio
anime,
Ghibli
like,
movies?
so I was just gonna say, Spirited Away,
Yep.
fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Love, love,
I
love that
think I
movie.
want to say
Great, great, great
Spirited
movie.
Away is like one of the most common. Like, oh, this was my first.
Yeah,
Oh, what's his name? I almost said Miyanoke, but that's not right. Miyazaki.
Miyazaki.
That's like, oh, Spirited Away was my first Miyazaki film. That is so common to
Many
hear,
people
and
experience
it
I'm
that.
really is
I'm
though. Honestly,
I'm
well,
I'm
it's
one of them.
because that one was
I'm
in
one of them.
theaters. That was a big, big like it was actually released in theaters, and you could go see it.
Yeah,
Whereas
I
a lot
remember
of
seeing
other
it in
Studio
theaters, and I'm
Ghibli
like, oh,
movies were
this
not.
is. I saw that in theaters. Was it when it first came out, or was it a little after? I don't remember, but
I saw it in theaters.
I actually saw it. Well, I mean, like when it was released in general. I don't know if it had an immediate theater release or
I actually saw
Yeah,
Princess Mononoke in middle school or high school. I was
yeah, but like
in
I saw.
I was in like probably eighth or ninth grade, and the English teacher rolled in one of those TVs, the old school TVs on the wheels, and she's like,
You watched it like in
in
school.
school, we watched Princess Mononoke. That was my first experience to, aside from watching TV series like Dragon Ball Z and the animated Batman shows, that was like one of my first. I guess it wouldn't be Japanese. I mean, unless it's Dragon Ball Z you consider, but those were my first experiences with animation and watched Studio Ghibli, Princess Mononoke, and it was insane. You had a great female character, you had a strong male character, you had, you know, it was violent, but it was like it wasn't nonsensical violence. It had a great overall plot when it comes to the protection of uh like different like domes of like, you know, the nature versus the people. And you know, there was no good, there was no bad, it was a mix of both. Like the lady from the village that made the iron, she wasn't a good person, but she was doing what she could to benefit her people. She wasn't necessarily bad. And the wolf mother wasn't necessarily good either. She was a goddess and she protected the forest, but she was very aggressive and really wasn't really listened to the main character Ashitaka about humans. And you know, at the end, it kind of merged together very beautifully. And I love that movie to death. That was my first experience with Ghibli, and
I gotta rewatch
I
it.
think that one's the best one in my opinion. There was an other version of that movie called Nausicaa of the Valley in the West or something. That was an older Ghibli movie that Princess Mononoke refined that whole concept. So technically, Princess Mononoke is a remake of that movie, Nausicaa, the Valley Hidden in the West. But I know a lot of people watch Spirited Away there first, and yeah, I agree. That was a good movie as well.
Spirited Away is good. I gotta look at a list. I'm finding it right now.
I resonate more with Ashitaka as a character than I do with what's her face from. I mean, obviously, I don't share experiences with a dude that has a demon inside of him, but I thought that character was much more interesting.
yeah, no, I can get that. So, I guess if I were to narrow it down to like my top three movies, I would say, I'm not gonna I'm gonna say them in an order, but it's not gonna be like my number one, number two, number three.
Yeah.
In any particular order,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so it's number one. If I guess if I were to say like musical, because my favorite musical is The Greatest Showman. That
That's
is
great.
just a fantastic movie. I listen to the music constantly still, and the movie is like 6 or 7 years old at this
I mean,
point, and I still listen to it
Hugh
constantly.
Jackman's
Greatest
fantastic
Showman.
anyway.
Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Zendaya, yeah, just fantastic cast. It just Rebecca Ferguson, but she didn't do the singing. It was Lauren Allred from I think it was X Factor or whatever, one of those singing shows that she did the singing for Rebecca Ferguson's character. Yeah, it was so good. It's honestly like the movie, another one of those movies that makes me like tears of joy and sadness all throughout the entire movie, and I'm singing along. I love it. Another movie we actually mentioned it was The Green Mile.
Yep.
I remember just one day I was walking downstairs to see what my family was doing. It was just my mom was home and she was watching the movie, and she's seen it. I didn't see it. I was like, I don't know, probably 13. So I was like, all right, yeah, I guess I'll watch this with you. It looks all right. And then just fantastic. AJ, you have to watch the movie. You have to. I swear. Yeah, it's just fantastic. John Coffey, he killed me. It destroyed me. And then third one, which is gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, cliche, is Infinity War. Honestly,
How
Infinity
is
War
that
was
cliche?
just
That was a good
Didn't they
solid
have that in
movie.
part two different
it
parts?
it
So
it was
did you
yeah, it was
like?
Infinity War and Endgame. I
Oh, that's
like
right. Okay.
Infinity War. Endgame was good, but it wasn't as good as Infinity War for me. When
Endgame was good at wrapping
literally
everything up,
half of
but
the
yeah, Infinity
world's
War
yeah,
was.
but when half of the universe, not even the world, when half of the universe is disappearing and Tom Holland's scene when he is disappearing, dude, I just
Dude,
bawl like
spoiler
a
alert,
baby.
jeez.
Oh, come on.
You know something that does.
No, no,
Everybody has seen that at this
You know,
point.
if I was to pick a genre, I used to always like comedy a lot, and comedy is like a great default. But movies that make me feel, if not movies that make me feel, actors in those movies that make me feel. If an actor can portray a role or a
Oh yeah.
vibe that will not only just become a possibility to be a favorite movie, but just a good experience. And like, it's
Yeah,
hard for me
exactly.
to pick movies. I would rather pick like actors and actresses. And even though it's not there, definitely one of my top would be like Robin Williams or even
Yep.
Hugh Jackman, because they could play
Hugh
such a
Jackman,
huge
Tom
role of
Hanks,
things
Will
and do
Smith.
so well. Yeah, Will Smith too.
He's been one of my
uh,
favorites from a very, very long time, very young age. He's my
Just
one
make
of my
sure you
favorite
keep his
I
name
I
out of your
like
Everyone.
mouth.
I like
Yeah.
I like Will Smith, but I'm gonna one up you and say Christoph Waltz.
Okay.
This I Christoph. If
I
we're
still like
gonna
Will Smith
be,
better, but he's good.
well, that's like your opinion,
Well, I mean,
man.
that's what we were talking about before too, because we were talking about Brendan. We were talking about Brendan Fraser, and we were talking. We started with actors and stuff, and movies that really make you feel. That's the huge thing. Something you can like really sit and makes you think, or something you digest. And like one of the movies I saw that I haven't really been able to really compare to anything else was a movie with Rob Williams, and it was called Best Dad of the Year, and it was really messed up. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that before.
No, I haven't.
I am
It's
not. What's it
really
called? What's
sad.
it called again? I'm gonna
Uh,
Google it.
Best Dad of the Year or something like that. Best Father of the Year. It's about Robin Williams having a son, and I think the mother is dead or she's not there with them anymore, and he's doing the sole parent thing, and the son is a typical, oh, screw you, dad,
Oh,
whatever.
World's Greatest Dad.
World's greatest dad. It turns out his son is into erotic asphyxiation, and he ends up committing
Oh.
suicide on accident.
Oh.
Like doing that, and he catches him after he's dead, and he catches his son. He never got the chance to resonate with the son. He tried his hardest, so he's already falling apart, and he has to put himself together because his son is already hated in school, and he loved his son, and the whole point of the movie is about making his son's death honorable, and so he takes the role of his son and makes his death make sense to help with himself and help with anyone that knows his son, to give his son a peaceful remembrance. And so he has to write in the journal about his son's own death and he makes it so that way it's memorable, so his son isn't remembered in such a bad way. So he has to literally write the story of why his son committed suicide, but in the most positive way he can. And so his character is falling apart at the seams while covering up why his son died, how his son died, and not beseeching his name while trying to be the greatest father for his son that died. It's
I'll have to
very
check this
sad.
out.
Very
What was
sad,
that
yeah.
called again? You said it? The World's Greatest Father?
Was greatest father.
I'll have to check that out. All right.
And that's an insane movie. A lot of people talk about Good Will Hunting, which is a really good movie that makes you feel
Dude,
with Robin
this I just
Williams.
read like a
But
quick synopsis on
whew,
Wikipedia. This sounds like an awesome movie.
it's a
Yeah, I
it's a
might have to check
horrid
that out,
plot.
honestly.
It's a horrid plot to think about, like having to be that actor to live in that mindset, and it's insane. While you're watching it, you have that lump in your throat, because you don't like the characters, you don't like what he's doing to do for his son, but he's doing it to be good. You
He's
don't like his
doing it
son because his
with
son is a
best
jerk.
intentions.
Exactly, and that's what makes him the greatest dad. It's not that he's a great dad by any means. He tries to be, and he's literally trying, even in the face of death, dealing with the son. Brutal. brutal. But like anything that makes you feel like that, anything that's really rich, even if it is a comedy or if it's an emotional like storytelling or an action movie, those things are what makes a great, memorable movie.
I think after reading the plot of World's Greatest Dad and how much you enjoyed that, I think you should check out Fury. Is
I'll
it?
probably like that.
I'm probably
It
gonna
is
check
a
them
war
both out.
movie, but it's just there's so much that it makes you feel, and then the ending is just. There's a scene in there. It just stabs you right in the heart and just twists it left and right, rips your
I
Yeah,
think
heart
it's
right
on
out.
Netflix actually, so I might have to check that out.
probably.
Fury's on Netflix.
I think it is. I might have to
Oh,
check
that's
that out.
fantastic.
If it's on Netflix, then I'm probably gonna add that to my downloads list, and I'll be watching that
Yeah,
soon.
it's on Netflix. Hot damn!
Cool. Yeah, I'll be downloading
I've
that
been
later
whipping
then.
out the Blu-ray every couple months.
I knew it was on one of the streaming apps that I listened to, or that I watched, because I remember seeing it as I was scrolling through like movies you might enjoy, which it was on that list. So, I do want to bring back though, AJ. You mentioned Christoph Waltz.
Yes,
Wasn't
I
he in
love
the
Christoph Waltz.
Wasn't he in the Django Unchained? He was
Yes,
like the
Ooh,
doctor.
he's one of the
Yeah,
main
that was.
characters.
I
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
forget
That
about
was
that movie. That movie's
fan
so
Django
fucking
good.
Unchained. Now,
tastic.
when I first watched that movie, I was a little uncomfortable, as
Oh, for
I think there's
sure.
like 400, 200 years, there's some ridiculous amount of usages of the N word,
Of the hard
and
R,
just
yes.
yeah, hard R like this. That's a white dude that owns a plantation saying that. He ain't saying it to a
Yep.
brother,
No,
and
Well, I mean,
that's
a lot of
it's
that stuff is super hard hitting. That's the whole richness of a story. It's
yeah, but no,
unfortunate
that's
that that's such a negative word, but having it in there adds
well,
layers
no,
to
it
the
made me
story.
uncomfortable, and it's supposed to. The
Yes.
movie worked. The
and it did
directors,
it.
the
Yeah, it did
actors
what it's
did
supposed to
their
do.
jobs. Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's like I said, and now that's one of my favorite movies. That's easily in my top five.
Oh yeah, that
It's
I mean
funny,
I always forget
Django,
about that movie, but that's an insanely amazing movie that doesn't get
Yeah,
enough credit.
and then the
it doesn't.
scene
And we still see the
where
memes now of the Leonardo DiCaprio, like in his. We still get the memes now of it.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
and the
was
scene
what
where he like slams his
2012 or something like that, because we were in high school when that came out. So
It's
what?
when he points
yeah
on
Me
when
and
he
AJ
points on
were.
when he points the whole TV
when
like
he
other thing
points.
on the
Yeah,
That's
he
a meme.
lifts up the yeah. That was like 2012, I think. That's old as hell
yeah.
for us
But
at
like
least.
the scene where he like right before the scene where he's pointing and whatnot. It's either right before or right after. He slams his hand down on the table, breaks the glass. His hand's all bloody. It's like that wasn't supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to. He looks up. He's like, "Oh, my hand's bleeding." He keeps going on with the scene, but he's like,
Oh,
he
that was
wasn't supposed
improv.
to. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
totally improv. He
He
wasn't
actually he
supposed
Oh
to
actually
shit! I
smash
stabbed
the
his
didn't know
he
glass.
actually
that.
he actually stabbed his hand and he was actually bleeding and
He
he
needed
didn't get an
stitches,
award for that.
Which is ridiculous.
dude.
Everything that he's in his career, he's done massively well, and he
Honestly, like, dude,
he got an Emmy.
Revenant.
He got an Emmy, I think, what like a few years back for like a mid movie, but
didn't
like
he?
he
Sorry, continue.
no, I forgot what movie it was, but yeah, he got one finally for like this movie where not the diss on him, but his acting was subpar compared to his other ones, and he never got anything for those. It's like he deserved one or multiple long time ago. Titanic, to
Honestly,
Django, all these movies, Shutter
Gilbert Grape,
Island,
even back
Gilbert
when he
He
was a
won
Grape.
an
kid.
Academy Award
Didn't he play Gatsby as
for the
well?
Revenant. The
Yes, he was
Revenant
Gatsby.
got a golden. He got a Golden Globe for The Aviator. I heard that's a good movie.
I don't
It
even know
just
what
took
that
so
is
long for
actually.
him to get the due that he was
For
due
the
because of how
Academy
good.
Award. It was because of The Revenant. Yeah, and that The Revenant was also a fantastic movie.
It was. Dude,
Although,
that bear attack
even
scene
though,
is just
well,
iconic.
the bear attack scene, he just channeled his inner Wolf of Wall Street when he was on the Quaaludes. So, just saying.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But no, The Revenant was good. That's a movie that I forgot existed. Not gonna lie.
Right. All right. Well, I think that was a really good, really deep dive into our favorite, movies and video games. That's a pretty
Yeah.
good podcast. If you guys agree, I think we could probably wind down from this point, unless you guys have anything else you wanted to add, real quick.
No, I'm good. I got a lot of that out. I think we kind of touched up on a lot of stuff, and I think we got caught up a lot on what we liked a lot. But that was cool. We can
Yeah, we
relate
get
to.
there's some new things to try out, to watch and play, or whatever. Yeah.
Hopefully, a lot of people that were listening haven't heard some of these movies or could agree to some of these movies, and maybe we want to rewatch them or watch them themselves. And some of the unpopular ones will get popular again, and people will be able to watch these and enjoy them too.
Yeah, exactly. And if you guys agree or disagree, feel free to leave comments. You can also write into, I guess, me specifically at this point at contactwatson@gmail. It's contact, CONTACTWATSYN @gmail. I'm going to be working on an actual email for the podcast specifically, so you can reach out to that. But I guess you can reach out to that email for now. AJ, do you have anything else you wanted to add in before we start wrapping this up?
Nah, I got nothing. That was a solid podcast. We covered a lot of points, and thanks. Now there's a bunch of movies I gotta watch slash rewatch. My list has only grown.
Exactly.
Thanks, guys.
Exactly.
That
Me
was your
too,
topic.
honestly.
That was your topic. You did this to
That's your
yourself.
topic, yeah.
That's okay.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching with your ears. If you liked the show, make sure to hit that follow button so you know when the next episode launches. Also, make sure to give us a review, and we might even read it live on the podcast if we get some really good ones. If you would like to be a guest on the show, because I would like to open that up to some people in the future, or just have something interesting, funny, or crazy to share, you can contact me at, like I said, contact Watson, CONTACTWATSYN @gmail. Again, thank you all for showing your support. Tune in next time to find out what's up. We done.